What's going on, everyone? So one of the big points of getting out and escaping Fromville is to save the children, right? We found out through Victor, because he had the memory of the boy in white, that this all started with the adults that the children trusted. The children were sacrificed, and all that hope was put into the roots that eventually became the bottle tree. Right? And all of the monsters that you see roaming around are all the people that sacrificed their children in order to have immortality, in order to live forever. We saw the smiley monster come to be, and it turns out that the way to get this all over, right? Like the end is at the beginning. And the idea is that, okay, they have to essentially find a way to go back to the beginning, find out how did they save their children. You saw Tabitha as well as Jade finally unlock their memories of the past. They finally have the memories of them used to be a couple many moons ago. Whatever their names were, probably wasn't Tabitha and Jade, but let's say it was John and Mary, right? They had a daughter that you saw kneel in front of Tabitha before she unlocked her, and then said the Ankui, and then boom, they were like, remember, and then that unlocked all of the memories of the past. So they have an idea now. They know how things kind of became to be. They were, I imagine, going to peel back some of that information in the upcoming season. We have season 4 that is already confirmed. Got that. They supposedly want to do a 5th season at a minimum. So chances are they probably will. I hope that they don't lose momentum, because they're going to take at least a year and, at best case, a year and a couple months. Worst case, 2 years before this next season comes, because it's not coming till 2026. But here's a concern that I have, right? Again, we're going to go and unravel kind of more of this mystery. And now Tabitha and Jade remember their daughter. They remember what happened. I would imagine that, they're gonna be able to relay information to like Boyd and others, and kind of, could Tabitha kind of help Victor unlock his memories in his mind, because, because she's the reincarnated version of Miranda. So maybe she can kind of help, like, before, obviously, she died. The end is at the beginning. Does that just scream time travel to you? Or is it just me? Because I am incredibly worried that that's how this show is going to end. You have Julie, who now can travel through time. Right? We saw her, a future her, a different her, travel back to try to save her father, Jim. Which means she can go back into time. And yes, they said, you can't change the past once the story is written. Guess how they probably resolved it? She finally fixes the story. Right? The way to the beginning, or the way to the end, is at the beginning. Right? Which means, chances are, she's probably going to have to go back in time to the beginning and prevent the children from ever being sacrificed. That is probably her mission. That is probably her goal. That is probably what this is going to ultimately lead to. And I hope that's not what happens. I really don't. Even though that's probably the case, I really don't. Because I just think it's just like, look, the time travel trope and all that stuff, I like that they established you can't change the story. Right? I love that. Because you get that Marvel issue, which is like, there's no more stakes. Jim dying, leave him dead. Right? Like, as soon as she is able to go back and fix that, well, okay, what else can she fix? Right? Like, okay, well, now you might as well go all the way back. Why even continue to have a story if that's the point? Right? Like, yeah, you could, okay, like, get the information of it. Why not just the next episode just be Julie going back into time? Right? She gets all the answers. She relays it to Tabitha at the end, but she gets all the information, boom, goes back in time, and then stops the children from being sacrificed, and then nothing ever happens, and Julie's the only one that remembers, and she goes back and just relays, and then boom, now the audience knows everything. Right? Like, because it's you're changing the stakes. Like, I would rather it be not that simple. What I would like to see is that Julie is able to go to these different timelines. I don't even mind if she's able to go back to the very beginning. Like, that I think could be interesting. But to kind of be more of like an intel, right? To gather intel, gather information, right? Things that maybe Tabitha and Jade weren't privy to, weren't aware of, or things that maybe they don't remember because it's been so long, right? Like, I think Julie could use this ability to basically be a reader, right? Because, story walker, you're a story walker, you're reading the story, you're retaining the information, so then you can go to your time and go, hey, this is what happened, this is how it happened, but you can't change the story. I really don't want to see her go back in time and just clean fix everything, right? Like, let what happened in the past be in the past and tell a story. Fill in all the gaps. Obviously, we need to know, how it happened, what happened, right? Like, I think that there is an opportunity here to continue to progress to a really great show. I also think there's an opportunity here to completely sabotage the show and remove all kind of curiosity, all stakes. Because again, as soon as she figures out how to change the story, guess what? And I've seen people argue, well, she changed the story because she threw the rope down to Boyd. Not if that was part of the story, right? No, like, she was there at that time as the story, right? That was part of the story. That was her introduction to the time travel. It just happened to coincide to that time of Boyd. She didn't change it. That was meant to happen. She can interact with something. Like, changing it would be like she's able to prevent Jim from dying and then he never dies, right? The end result will always be the same. The story will always be written. The story was Jim died, right? So if she can go back and stop the man in yellow from killing Jim, if he dies in another way, let's say, an hour later, a monster just rips him apart, the story still wrote the same. There are a few details that changed, but overall, the ending was still the same. The story was already written. Jim dies. Jim is dead, right? I don't want to see them go back and start retconning a bunch of stuff and fixing stuff. Oh, well, now she got, no, I'm fine if it's something where, okay, she stops the man in yellow, but the end result is the same, right? So maybe we get a point where she was like, where Tabitha or somebody's like, wait, can't you just go back to the beginning and prevent everything from happening? And she's like, I tried and it didn't work, right? I went there, I did that, I tried to tell you and everyone, and no one believed me. Everyone thought I was crazy, and all the parents still did it because maybe it's just like time loop, right? Because like Julie tells them and they go, oh, that means it's real, and then Julie ends up being the reason everyone sacrificed their children and stuff. Like, I think that you have a couple unique opportunities here to kind of do some stuff, but I do not want to see it be something where she just goes back in time and that's it, right? The end is at the beginning. Because, come on, you as well as I do know that that's kind of what it feels like they're setting up here, right? That's kind of the direction that they're going. I hope that it's just a misdirect and there's a purpose, right? I'm fine with what the story walker. I'm fine with the story walker in the sense in which it exists right now, which is she can't change anything. She can just go and observe, right? Yeah, she can interact with it. She can make you go left rather than right, but in the end, the result's going to always be the same, right? Once the story's written, it's written. I like that. The story of the children was written, right? You shouldn't be able to then go back and do that, but it kind of feels like they're trying to set it up to where Julie is able to figure out. And I hope that it's something where maybe she tries and the man in yellow, right, prevents it, stops it, maybe like drags her back or kills her or something like that. And then, it's just like this loop and she's just in this loop until Tabitha and Jade figure it out, right? Like, I hope it's not something where she is able to just like, oh, no big deal. I just went over here and we're good. Right? And yeah, I just went back in time, fixed everything, right? Like, or I hope it's something where it's like, a paradox, where maybe she could go back in time. But if you go back in time and you save the children, then you'll never be born, right? Like, that could be another approach, right? Like, yeah, you can go back and save the children, but then Tabitha wouldn't be the reincarnated version of, getting Mary at the time of that. She would be a completely different person. Tabitha, as you know it, that gave birth to you for the purpose of you being the story walker, wouldn't exist. So therefore, you never would have, even if you were born as Julie, you would have never been a story walker. Therefore, you were never able to go back in time to change it. I hope that that's kind of the approach where, like, yeah, it's like the grandfather paradox, right? Like, like you wouldn't exist. You don't exist if you go back in time, right? That's kind of how I hope that they handle this. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree with me? Do you think, like, yeah, absolutely not? Please do not make this something where, she just goes back into the past and changes and fixes everything. Do you think that, like, like how I talked about, like, with the paradox, like, they'll prevent it to where she can't do that? Again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I love to hear it. So let me know either way down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. It's me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.